Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, yada, yada. This is Laura Ingraham, as we like to call her. Look at the title of this thing. This title drives me nuts. As you know, it might. Those longtime viewers of the show will know. This makes me fucking crazy. Ingraham, America needs to begin decoupling from China. Meanwhile, Laura, President Biden has surrendered to China on the Ingraham angle. Okay, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck. Let's find out what
I am Laura Ingraham. This is Ingraham Angle.
Excuse me, it's pronounced Laura Ingraham.
Yeah, no, she's crazy. She is totally nuts.
From Washington tonight, thanks for joining us. Biden surrenders.
That's it. That's it. Look at it. White flags and everything. We're surrendering. We've surrendered to China.
That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, this month, Americans cannot turn around without seeing a very colorful flag.
He surrendered by being gay in front of the Chinese and letting gay stuff be gay. The whole world is, he turned the White House gay while the Chinese are watching, and they know how that makes them feel macho and strong.
It's everywhere. You see it
in
stores, at hotels.
Yeah, it's Pride Month, stupid. Also, these are the fake pictures from Target that everybody was saying this like tuck-friendly wear is available at Target, and it's not. That's in the children's section. Like she's using like these images after everybody that has debunked
clothing.
them.
Of course, it's being pushed by celebrities. It's even hanging prominently at the White House.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a flag that far better represents where we're heading as a country right now, although...
Because you feel it represents the hood you wear, or... No, I'm kidding.
It's a lot less flashy.
You see what we did there? We made that disappear because it hurt me in the hurt place.
You see it there.
Yes, I do. I see it there. I think they're actually, it's just sheets. I think it's part of the Green New Deal. You know, the Bidens hang their sheets outside to clean them, and they're very clean people, as I see.
And given Biden's groveling approach to China, our single greatest adversary.
Groveling. Explain the groveling, please.
The White House might as well raise it at this point. Now, there's so many obvious reasons why America needs to begin decoupling from China.
We already are. And also, you left without explaining the groveling. Bring back the groveling. Is it the part where he said we're going to defend Taiwan with force? That kind of groveling?
It is insane when you think about it that we ever allowed manufacturing and the production of things like prescription drugs, medical devices, critical electronics, and other critical parts to be controlled by a communist regime.
Weird, because it's almost as if you are attacking the one fucking guy who just passed a bill about that shit. What do you think the CHIPS Act was? What do you think the Made in America plan that he has, where it must come from here, and there are fewer dispensations that the Trump organization, like the Trump campaign and then the Trump administration, rather, just everywhere they possibly could get around it, they did. What the shit are you talking about?
That is hostile to everything we believe in and everything we are, or used to be. Now, if COVID taught us anything,
it taught us sometimes you can get sick just by looking at someone's face.
It should have taught us that if we rely on China for our essentials, we're going to do it on our own peril.
On our own peril? At is the word. At our own peril. Look, just because you're reading from a teleprompter doesn't mean, you can't make mistakes. You just made them earlier in the day.
Ting-Long Dai is with Johns Hopkins Business School. He's an associate professor there and has done extensive research into the need to reshore our production.
Just imagine if you have a fire and you do not have a truck a few miles from you, and you have to rely on truck from nearby state.
October 27th, 2020.
You cannot deal with it.
I don't remember who was president then. I'm going to have to go look it up.
Fire. By the time the fire trucks arrive, your house has already been burned down.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's weird. That's so weird. It's funny that you bring that up. Let's see.
That's one of the first things I did as president, was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk? It cut the cost of health care insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks, and it worked. It worked. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
Look at the Republicans sitting.
The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. And the first step in bringing fundamental change.
I don't like it. I like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I just don't like it. I'm not, you can't make me like it. I'm not gonna like it. I'm not gonna.
For the past 40 years, we were told that tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit. But that trickle-down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else.
Yeah, that was the point.
Also, hold on.
Not from the top down. Way up, and the wealthy do very well. America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth. And now our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law. And I thank my Republican friends who joined to invest and rebuild America.
Yeah, those jobs are starting now. They started this spring because of the time lag between, going through winter and then starting the production now, or, and what the Republicans don't realize is they're gonna happen for the next year, and that's what people are gonna be recognizing. Like the majority of the bigger projects are gonna be done by this fall, and then they're gonna go, oh yeah, everything was rebuilt. I used to remember that old bridge or whatever. Oh yeah, it's an infrastructure bill, and it's just gonna drive. Like, what the fuck are they gonna run on? Oh, by the way, there are a bunch of countries that are like number 1, number 2, number 3 in infrastructure, and they're tiny.
The single biggest
It's like a state.
investment in history. It was a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members of both parties who worked to make it happen. We're done
He's such a divider.
talking about infrastructure weeks. We're now talking about an infrastructure decade. And look.
Okay, I think there was one part in this where he talked,
Every American has clean water to drink.
Okay, that's the infrastructure bill.
We will start fixing over 65,000 miles of highway and 1,500 bridges in disrepair. And folks, books for almost a century to make sure taxpayers' dollars support American jobs and businesses. Every administration, Democrat and Republican, says they'll do it, but we're actually doing it. We'll buy America to make sure everything from the deck of an aircraft carrier to the steel on highway guardrails is made in America from beginning to end. All of it. All of it.
Yeah, that was an actual bill that got passed under Biden. Just saying. Now, I know some of our maggot friends get very upset about that, and they move into the sort of fuck America, if I can't have you, no one will. Oh, wait, hold on one second. I'm getting a. Okay, there's noise outside the door. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. I thought we had a slight issue. My bad. My bad. Okay, so because I went long and anyways.
Dire situation and all the damage that's been done.
Yes, during the 2 years of obviously it was fixed during the Trump years. Didn't he fix that? Didn't he reshore all these factories? Didn't manufacturing come fucking roaring back during the? Oh, they didn't. But that carrier oh, that didn't happen. But what about all the microchip factories in like Arizona and those are under Biden? You're right. Okay.
Is self-inflicted. And China's control over our medicine supply chain has happened over a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, during the Trump years. Also, what was it? Just the Adderall shortage that triggered this for you?
Now, until the mid-1990s, a lot of you might not know this,
hold on. New York Post. If I may, give me 1 second. I'm going to take this down here. We'll move this over here. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to go to here. What was that? What was it? Oops, sorry. Hold on. I got to move this out and go to here. This one right here. Sorry, I was talking without it on screen. Okay, so New York Post. Whoops. New York Post. China controls your meds. Very scary. China controls your meds. That should scare you. This is an article and that's, by the way, the dude from TikTok, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know why they're showing the fucking TikTok CEO. Democrats, Republicans battered TikTok CEO at the House hearing Thursday for good reason. Chinese app poses a national security threat. Supply chain. Beijing controls many, in most cases, bigger and more immediate. Isn't that China's a chokehold on our medication supply chain? It controls many, if in some cases, all active ingredients for remedies for our medicine chest, the drugs used in emergency room, medicine bottles in your cabinet, or don't say made in China, but nearly all, 97% of U.S. antibiotics by some estimates. In a tense situation, Beijing could simply cut off shipments. Our survival hangs till the mid-1990s. The West and Japan produced 90% of the world's active pharmaceutical ingredients. 2017 was China's producing 40%. Now almost all drug pipelines start in China. So Trump rolls in, and by the end of his term, yeah, okay. Even India, the other drug-producing giant, relies on China for 70% of its active ingredients. China's grip tightens, federal government, blah, blah, blah. In 2019, Congress requested the Food and Drug Administration list the life-saving drugs Americans rely on, which countries supply them. The FDA still hasn't done it. In 2019, I don't remember who was president then. You're going to have to ask. 2021, the Department of Defense Inspector General issued a scathing report that the DoD lacked strategies to circumvent reliance on foreign drug suppliers. Yet, as of last week, the Pentagon still hasn't assembled data on where its drugs originate. President Joe Biden's Defense Department considers securing medicines for the military a lower priority than woke goals such as pronoun. All right, whatever, the bullshit. Biden himself told Air Force personnel that global warming is the greatest threat. Okay, but China should not control access to medicines for our soldiers and citizens. They don't. They control some of the precursors, which we can get from other places. We just happen to get them because they're cheap from there. Even in peacetime, America's dependence on faraway drug suppliers is a problem. Parents, frantically, children step through it, or meds for ADHD. Yeah, there it was. That was the trigger. It can't get off-market Adderall. Reliance on China also means accepting drugs made in squalid factories that the FDA seldom or never inspects. 2008, a contaminated blood thinner from China, heparin, killed 81 American patients. FDA believes a deliberate counterfeit was the cause. It's time to bring drug manufacturing home. When Congress ended... Okay, hold on. Pharmaceutical plants sprang up fast. 1990, 17 of the 21 most prescribed drugs in the United States were made in Puerto Rico. When Congress ended that subsidy, drug manufacturing moved halfway around the world to China, but some factories still sit idle. In ordinary times, Democrats would reject tax breaks for drug companies, but even oncologist Ezekiel Emanuel, a Democrat and Obama health advisor, has recommended this quick solution for a menacing situation. Tell the Congress to act. Okay, so this is a letter that they're putting forward. Hold on. Biden on medicine supply chains. Let's see, Thomson Reuters. This is 14 July 2021. Biden administration acts to secure U.S. pharmaceutical supply chain. The U.S. government is getting serious about protecting the country's pharmaceutical supply chain, releasing a series of policy recommendations to address perceived vulnerabilities. The White House, U.S. State Department, Department of Health, Human Services, HHS, Office of the Assistant Secretary of Preparedness and Response, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration released a series of policy recommendations to address vulnerabilities in the U.S. pharmaceutical supply chain. Last year, the American people experienced a widespread, significant shortage of N95 respirators for healthcare workers and masks to protect essential workers and others, reducing reliance on foreign supply chains. This country remains critically dependent on imports of a range of key pharmaceutical products and APIs, according to White House press release. Approximately 87% of it, I love how they're sourcing the White House's numbers for that article. Approximately 87% of API facilities for generic drugs are overseas, with China and India controlling substantial parts of the supply chain. While these overseas facilities have helped reduce costs by trillions of dollars in the past decade, reliance on them has left the nation's healthcare system vulnerable to shortages of essential medicines. According to the FDA and ASPR report on U.S. supply chain vulnerabilities, in order to ensure this, the report identified 4 areas of focus: boosting local production and fostering international cooperation, promoting research and development that establishes innovative manufacturing processes and production technologies to strengthen supply chain resilience, creating robust quality management maturity to ensure consistent and reliable drug manufacturing and quality performance, and leveraging data to improve supply chain resilience. The report also found that COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the critical importance of a resilient U.S. public health industrial base. Funding manufacturing technologies. In further support of improving pharmaceutical supply chain resiliency, the Biden administration is encouraging federal agencies to, quote, increase their funding of advanced manufacturing technologies to increase production of key pharmaceutical ingredients, including using both traditional manufacturing techniques and on-demand manufacturing capabilities for supportive care fluids, APIs, and finished dosage form drugs. The federal government's capacity to shape the market for critical products was evident in the public-private partnerships to facilitate the development of COVID-19. They already started working on it, stupid. Again, we should begin to decouple. Shut the fuck up.
West and Japan produce 90% of the world's active pharmaceutical ingredients. By 2017, China was producing 40%. Wow. Now almost all drug pipelines start in China. As of today, 97% of our antibiotics, many in limited supply now, by the way, are made in China. 97%.
No. That's 97% of, we get 90% of our antibiotics from China because they're cheap and available in that regard. If they stopped being cheap and available, we would buy more of them from India or other sites. We are buying them because of their cheapness and their effectiveness, and the supply chain from there is pretty clean. Once that stops, we will get it from someplace else, and we will pay more for it. The idea, though, is that we're paying very little for them right now. By the way, in sheer cash, because I think there's always a trade-off. You get what you pay for, and there's an element of that getting those drugs cheaply has been more expensive on the back end. And that's why you don't just run to where the cheapest price is. You're seeing this with Temu. So I've talked about this with my kid because he was asking about why I keep seeing Temu all over the place and all these ads on YouTube and the like. And it's because Temu is a Chinese company that does not have to make a profit. Its goal is to destroy, in the United States, its goal is to destroy Amazon and Walmart, to undercut them so much that they flag as businesses, to basically attack these two ginormous American companies by selling stuff because they don't have to pay the postage because of international rules. Temu can ship stuff in a way that other companies cannot to the U.S. consumer. And there are other companies that are like the equivalent of Walmart in Europe in different countries. They're doing the exact same thing too. And I've told you the story about what the Chinese are doing in Africa, where they charge shipping to any African that wants to buy goods from China and sell them. But a Chinese person who lives in Africa, who's been sent there, a Chinese citizen who lives in Africa and starts a business there, does not have to pay shipping. And so they can undercut their price. And by the way, they're also getting sweetheart deals, like wholesale numbers. They're getting it at a cut rate on top of the fact that they don't pay shipping. So they are absolutely obliterating local sellers and stores in Africa. And it's causing a shit ton of uprisings because of it, because they're gutting the local economies. But that's the point. The point isn't to make money. The point is to destroy the businesses in these places and destabilize them.
But it's not just meds. It turns out our defense contractors that get billions and billions of dollars to produce weaponry to defend us, supposed to be defending us, turns out they can't function without key parts from our geopolitical foes. The CEO of Raytheon is telling the Financial Times that the company has several thousand suppliers in China, and decoupling is impossible.
Hold on real quick. And again, sorry, Raytheon, tough shit. If we end up doing it, that's that. Hold on. We can de-risk, but not decouple Raytheon. This is the deposit. We can de-risk. That's the, and there's a bunch of these. Paul University. But this is, it's the Financial Times looking at it. Now, I gotta pay for the fucking Financial Times to read something, you jerk. We can de-risk but not decouple from China, says Raytheon chief. Head of Aerospace and Defense Group says Western manufacturers will find it impossible to completely cut ties. Western manufacturers will be able to de-risk their operations in China, but will find it impossible to cut ties completely with the country, according to the head of one of the U.S.'s largest aerospace and defense companies. Greg Hayes said the company had several thousand suppliers in China, and decoupling is impossible. We can de-risk but not decouple. He believed that's the case for everybody. Think about the $500 billion of trade that goes from China to the U.S. every year. More than 95% of rare earth minerals or metals come from or are processed in China. There is no alternative, said Hayes. If we pull out of China, it would take us many years to reestablish that capability, either domestically or in other friendly countries. That's why de-risking first and then decoupling. That's why the White House said de-risking. That's derp. Beijing in February imposed new sanctions on both Raytheon and U.S. defense peer Lockheed Martin for supplying weapons to Taiwan. Hayes was also placed under sanctions. That's ironic. He's under sanction. So is Raytheon, but they're still their primary supplier. The sanctions have had little commercial impact as the groups are not allowed to sell military equipment to China. Raytheon, however, has a substantial commercial aerospace business inside the country through its engine subsidiary, Pratt & Whitney. Both subsidiaries, along with other Western aerospace, are suppliers to China's first large homegrown jet aircraft, the C919, which is a fucking death trap. Nevertheless, the company is looking for alternative sources for some of its components. We're looking at de-risking to take some of the most critical components and have second sources, but we are not in a position to pull out of China the way we did out of Russia. Yeah, we know that. Raytheon believes the decision to rebrand itself as RTX, announced on Sunday, will allow for a clearer distinction between the commercial aerospace business and its defense activities, which will continue to trade under the Raytheon brand. So RTX will be the aerospace, like the commercial aerospace stuff. Hayes told investors on Monday, the first day of the Paris Air Show, that the company will still meet its target to achieve $9 billion of free cash flow in 2025. Pratt & Whitney has been juggling to supply enough new engines to Airbus, while at the same time delivering spares to existing airline customers. Yeah, that was on a fucking call to investors because they might be yelling at him to do it. And he's like, we can't do it. We'll gut the company and you'll lose all your money. And they're like, oh, okay, fine.
You cannot make this up.
Yes, you can. You're doing it right now.
And during his surrender tour in Beijing, Biden's Secretary of State,
Blinken, is the messenger of our surrender.
Antony Blinken, he bent over backwards to reassure the CCP, decoupling, not going to happen.
One of the important things for me to do on this trip was to disabuse our Chinese hosts of the notion that we are seeking to economically contain them. We're not. And as I've said, we are not about decoupling. We're about de-risking and diversifying.
Yeah. It's a nice way of saying decoupling in a way that won't fuck Apple. That's what's really going on. The State Department is recognizing this. Like 3 of our biggest businesses in the world have a shit ton of business over there. And it's going to take them a while to untangle from that. So instead of coming out, yeah, we're getting the fuck out. Sorry, suckers, would cadaver 3 big, giant companies in the United States with tons of employees. This is diplomacy speak.
De-risking. What a tool. Now, 10 to 1
Thanks, dummy.
odds that Tony is going to eventually be consulting or lobbying for some China-related interest over the next 5 years or so. Now, his arguments
No, there aren't going to be any.
are all specious.
When it comes to decoupling or economic containment, I think the facts simply belie that proposition. As I mentioned, our trade relationship reached the highest number that it's ever hit last year, about $700 billion in trade. American foreign direct investment in China has reached levels that we haven't seen since 2014.
Yeah, our trade is huge. But what he left out, of course, is that in the first quarter of this year, we've already run a deficit of $65 billion with China.
That's because that's the difference between wholesale and retail, stupid. We don't buy retail goods from China in general. We buy wholesale goods from them. Of course you're going to have a trade deficit. You're not going to be selling to your wholesaler the same shit you buy from them. And they're not going to, if it's a country that is so broke that they are your wholesaler, there's no fucking way they're going to buy a volume of goods from you that is equal to that.
China, every month it's going up.
No, Temu is not like Alibaba. Temu is Alibaba after the Chinese Communist Party took Jack Ma and put him in a re-education camp and beat the snot out of him for months and created a version of it that has like a TikTok algorithm to sell shit to you, again, for super cheap prices, so they take all your discretionary income so it doesn't go to Amazon, doesn't go to Walmart, and certainly doesn't go to retail stores in your area or to mom and pops. It's an economic attack on the United States. That's the purpose. And the West in general, like Europe as well.
Now, during his remarks Monday, Blinken...
And by the way, they're largely selling cast-offs that didn't meet the standard of the international sellers on a bunch of fronts. So they sell you the dinged and broken stuff that like if it's a Switch or something like that, a Nintendo device or whatever, it's stuff that Nintendo didn't sign off on, and it just gets sold, and they're like, I think that's our shit.
Sounded like he kind of was auditioning to be Beijing's foreign minister.
Parenthetically,
not at all.
We've got about 300,000 Chinese students studying in the United States. We have many American companies that I met with, or at least their representatives here, including the Chamber of Commerce, that continue to be very interested to do business here. And it's profoundly in our interest.
Well, at least we know whose interests he represents. China, Wall Street, and big business.
Yeah, who the fuck do you think you work for? You're on Fox. I don't get this shit where they're like, support independent journalism. I'm Laura Ingraham on the mini Fox network.
Plus, maybe he doesn't know this, but we didn't have 300,000 Russian students studying here during the Cold War, and we ended up grinding them down, didn't we? The USSR didn't benefit from our trade either. And believe me, I know this. I was a student there in the 1980s.
Wait a minute. Laura Ingraham studied in Russia in the 80s?
And it was pretty bleak.
Wait, hold on. Wait a second. Wait, what? Hold on. Hold on. Fuck off. Fuck off. Good Lord. I guess I'll have to look at Wikipedia. Ingram worked as a speechwriter for the Reagan administration in the 1980s. Grew up in Connecticut. Ingraham studied English literature and Russian at Dartmouth, graduating in 85 with a Bachelor of Arts. After college, Ingraham spent several years as a speechwriter for Reagan's policy department, university. And so she studied in Russia as part of that? Immigration, race, speculation promoting great replacement theory, economics, foreign policy, 2000 invasion of Iraq, Bushism, blah, blah, blah. Criticized the Illinois description of Israel, blah, 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 where she gun laws in her personal life. Russia attended a Baptist church until the age of 12, converting to Roman Catholic. She studied Spanish and Russian. Ingraham has dated George Conway and Dinesh D'Souza, fellow consider. Oh, God. She's a single mom with three children, a girl, Maria from Guatemala, she adopted. A boy, Michael Dmitry from Russia, she adopted in 2009. And a second boy, Nikolai Peter, adopted from Russia in 2011. Wait a minute. She's got 2 adopted Russian kids? Fucking what? And then she studied there as what? Why is this? All right. Hinky as fuck all of a sudden. Because again, it's not... St. Angela, it's not like she picked a country that wasn't fucking with us. So essentially, what it seems like is that during her time, like because she spoke Russian and studied it in school, she studied Russian in Russia, and then she moves into the Reagan White House as a speechwriter working over there. Which, if you were going to plant somebody in there to kind of undermine shit, that's how you do it. And then she adopts 2 kids from there, which, bless her heart, I'm sure she loves them very much, or what have you. But how's that going to be when she's talking about the Magnitsky Act and the meeting in Trump Tower about Russian adoptions and that kind of shit? Why wouldn't you fully disclose that? It's very curious. She was never there? She said she was. She said she studied over there and it was squalid.
And perhaps sensing the building backlash to their commie bootlicking.
Says the lady who studied in Russia for... Okay.
Biden used the D word at a fundraiser when referring to Xi.
Right. Called him a dictator. Yeah. So if anything, you might... If you're concerned about Anthony Blinken being too nice to them... It seems compensatory for the fact that Biden just called him a dictator.
Now, late today, senior officials, U.S. officials, claim that they were caught off guard by Biden's dictator comment. A State Department spokesman rushed out to smooth things over.
The president believes that diplomacy, including this recent trip undertaken by the secretary, is a responsible way to manage tensions, clear up misperceptions, avoid miscalculations, and all of this is in our interest to do that.
Yeah, that's just, again, what are you going to do? Pull clips like that from the fucking State Department's podium all the time? That's how they always talk about everything.
Oh, is that another Biden walk back? Well,
no, it wasn't. Asshat. Did you hear him address the term dictator or say obviously President Biden knows that Xi was the president. He's the presiding officer of the Chinese Communist Party. And that was a misstatement by the president. Not at all. He just said, yeah, Anthony Blinken's over there and we're kind of trying to calm shit down. But at the same time, how do you wave a white flag and call the fucker a dictator?
maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if he and Xi worked this little dance out ahead of time.
Oh, I see. He only called him a dictator because she gave him permission to call him a dictator. Because that's anybody who knows Chinese politics says she's spot on.
Hey, Xi, I'm going to call you a kind of a dictator to get the China hawks off my back. Then your spokesman can come out and can criticize me for it.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, that absolutely total do-si-do.
Which, of course, is exactly what happened.
Yes, because they criticized him for saying it, that was just it's further evidence that what he said was meant to be a compliment.
极不负责，严重违背基本事实，严重违背外交礼仪，严重侵犯中方政治尊严，是公开的政治挑衅， 中方对此强烈不满，坚决反对。
A blatant political provocation. At least China never fails to defend their interests.
Yeah, they're laying on their back. They don't have much choice but to squeal, dummy.
But all of this is meaningless theater.
Biden is beholden to donors on China. On China? In China? On China. On. In?
China knows that Biden is a figurehead. He's not really in charge of anything.
Well, then why did they have a do-si-do with him and let him say dictator? Why is that? Why would they even bother to work shit out? What?
The donors are in charge.
Ah, the donors. Yes, the big business interests. Those are the people who like China because Biden got all that Walmart money. What?
And they want us to play nice with China. Now understand this.
I'm trying. I really am. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
This is an example of the administration being naive about the threats America faces. After all, Biden's team, they don't have any problem getting tough and getting aggressive against Republicans.
MAGA Republicans are threatening default, holding our economy.
Yeah, but that's internal. That's not... You can talk differently about domestic issues than you can about foreign issues all the fucking time, because once you get into calling someone an opponent or a villain outside the country, where the protections of our Constitution aren't given to them, there's an understanding that it takes on a different level.
Economy hostage.
Achieves a different level of hostility.
That shouldn't be.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
And of course...
Yeah, do you guys see any problem with that? I don't. It pretty much, yeah, you nailed it. That's a good description, actually.
The Biden team, they almost never give conservatives, Republicans the benefit of the doubt.
Asshat, we just talked about he thanked Republicans who signed on to the infrastructure bill. Look, just because he gives credit to Republicans you hate or don't give a fuck about because you don't want them to work anything out because you don't give a shit about the country doesn't mean he doesn't.
Anything. And how many times have you ever heard Biden or Biden's staff say, well, let's just move on from a big disagreement with Republicans? That's what they did on the balloon. That's what Blinken said about the spy balloon. Let's just move on. Well, instead, what they do with Republicans is they double down on the insults and the threats.
Well, I mean, because more of it's coming this way. Now, if there'd been another balloon, if the Chinese had responded about the balloon the way Republicans respond about their shit, where like, if the Chinese sent up a balloon every time Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert introduced articles of impeachment or took the fucking podium and yelled about impeachment, the sky would look like a space-age birthday party.
If a bunch of dudes, let's say from some pro-Constitution group, were building a self-defense facility, like gun training facility, somewhere in Mississippi, the Democrats and the media would never stop talking about the growing threat of violence. But when China...
First of all, they do all the time. Has this idiot ever been to Michigan? Holy shit.
...is building a spy facility and a military training base less than 100 miles off our shore in Cuba?
I made very clear that we would have deep concerns about PRC intelligence or military activities in Cuba. This is something we're going to be monitoring very, very closely, and we've been very clear about that.
Oh, they're monitoring.
What do you want to do, invade? Say so. Say we should invade Cuba. It's a sovereign country, but call it out. What's the option? And again, we're trying to normalize relations with Cuba to bring them into the fold, and that's what would get rid of this thing.
Tough.
Oh, well, you know. Oh.
Now, this military base in Cuba is an inflection point for America's national security.
Yeah, and Trump missed it entirely because it was there the entire time he was president.
And our sovereignty.
And Trump did what about it?
And it looks like that this administration isn't going to do a damn thing about it.
What are we supposed to do, bomb it? What are we going to do? Maybe, you know, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Maybe we're monitoring it. Maybe we're tracking it. Maybe we're learning about their system as much as they're learning from us. Maybe we're jamming their shit or filling their, because we know it's there, we can fill their intelligence with bullshit. You know, kind of like your show.
If Joe Biden isn't bought and paid for by the Chinese, man, he's certainly doing a great impression of a president who is.
Yeah, because that person would pass the CHIPS Act, probably just to hide the fact. You know, they would destroy the Chinese economy almost single-handedly within 2 years. They would do that, I think, just as cover. What a great undercover plan that is. You know what I mean? I guess that's the thing. It's like if the best undercover cop in the world would just kill the head of the drug cartel that he was investigating and I guess holding his badge up at the time.
That this doesn't represent a red line for U.S. interests for these people in the White House, it tells you everything you need to know.
All right. Well, clearly you aren't. What more evidence do you need? There was none. You showed me clippings of press gaggles by the State Department, asshat.
Now you get the real.
Can you imagine, like, if the State Department talks this diplomatically? What in the world is, or why aren't they screaming like mad people? It's because it's the State Department. That's the fucking, they're the silk glove, and then there's a hammer.
Sense, at least I do, that most of the Wall Street types, most of the Fortune 500 CEOs,
most of them
already decided that America is hopelessly in decline and that the century will probably belong to China. Thus,
no, they might have believed that 6 years ago, but like even Ray Dalio is bugging out.
The long surrender has begun.
The long surrender has begun. The surrender happened when Trump was trying to work out his fucking trade deal. It just inverted. What? Am I watching a clip from like 2008? Hang on a second. We don't need to go back to her or whatever, but I just want to end on something. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Let's grab this. I'll need this guy. Hold on. Shit. Let's see. We'll start here. And this is, I'm going to go to obviously big Democratic sites, you know, to shore up my, there you go. That's this one. And then there's this one 2 days ago. Let's see. Yeah, I don't do that. I don't trust their numbers, so hold on. Here's this one. Let's see if the general consensus everywhere is any indication anywhere close to what Laura Ingraham says. Let's go straight to The Economist right here. This title doesn't look too good. China's economic recovery is sputtering. The prognosis is not good. There are lessons from Japan's long stagnation. How about here's another economist. China economy is on course for a double dip. Finance and economics. The title of this thing is Wishful Sinking. The post-COVID economy was meant to roar, but it is faltering again. Here's Axios. China's economy may be in a liquidity trap. People's Bank of China 1-year loan prime rate. The world's second largest economy may be in a treacherous macroeconomic terrain known as the liquidity trap. Why it matters. China's massive economy has been the main source of global economic growth for most of the last 3 decades. While it had long been expected to slow from the double-digit growth that it hit between 2000 and 2010, its current performance is far worse than many forecasts just a few years ago. Excuse me? For instance, prior to COVID in 2020, the IMF expected China growth at an annual rate of just under 6% in the coming years. Over the last 6 quarters, growth has averaged less than 3.5%. And that's been bullshit, right? Meanwhile, why China's economy hasn't bounced back. COVID-19 has left many Chinese risk-averse when it comes to their finances. The highlights this week. Economic data shows the end of China's zero COVID policy hasn't spurred major recovery. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets with top Chinese officials in Beijing. And China explores a military training base in Cuba. That's what's happening. Okay. Here's the other one. Oh, there's Reuters. Get out of here. Continue. Hold on. Get out of here. I'm not. No. Back up. Quit it. I got to reload the page or something. Reload. Oh, what? Here you go. Continue without supporting. Piss off. China's economy slows in May. More stimulus expected. May adds data to evidence of economic slowdown. Industrial output, retail sales growth miss expectations. Youth jobless rate hits record high. Yes, I can see why business leaders, the top Fortune 500 companies around the world, Laura Ingraham, I can see why they would think that this is... Hold on. I have... Excuse me. Excuse me. Are you... Hi. Are you trapped in there, young man? Hello. What are you doing? Come here. I'm doing a show. I'm doing show right now. I'm doing a show, Mr. Man. I'm doing a show. I'm doing a show. And you should be getting... You get a snack in a minute. I'm doing a show. How are you doing? What are you doing? Big boy. Big buddy. Chip just decided to come in. Just saying. Hi. Yes, you're a handsome man. Mm-hmm. They can hear you. They can hear you. Is that good? Is that a good scratch pie? Is that a good scratch pie? Yeah. ASMR with Chip. Hold on. Okay. I'll give you a snack in a minute. I'm almost done. I know I'm late. Get over yourself. Crazy boy. I'll be right there. Oh my God. I'm covered in hair. It's just going to happen. All right. Anyway, so where was I? Oh, yes. This is my favorite one. This is horrifying. Youth jobless rate hits record high. Property investment decline deepens. People's Bank of China cuts key rates to revive demand. More easing measures seen. This is fucked up. Now, what was hi chat room? Let's get over here. Where's she? Hold on. Now, what this idiot say just now about tell us about the Fortune 500 people again?
Now, you get the real sense, at least I do, that
you're an idiot?
Most of the Wall Street types,
she burped a little right there. That was clearly
the Fortune 500 CEOs.
Mm-hmm.
They've already decided that America is hopelessly in decline. And that the century will probably belong to China. Thus,
yeah, no. Not at all. Not at all, stupid. No. What the fuck?
The long surrender has begun. So I say it's time to take the white flag from them and start to stand tall again for America.
That's right. Stand tall for America. By shit-talking its industries and pretending the Chinese are way ahead in all these areas and never celebrate the victories. As long as if a Democrat does something that's good in this area, you got to shit-talk it into the ground. That's because strategy. It's strategery in the old Bush historical context.
And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean. Okay. The angle is bent over a table. What a bunch of horseshit. Oh, my God. Lazy. I'm lazy for thinking this dumb. Ladies and gentlemen, Laura Ingraham brings it home in a day full of so much stupid, so much rhino hating on the Republican side, so much backbiting and golka that it was very difficult for somebody to kind of bring up the rear and really be dumber than everybody else. But Laura did it, and we applaud her. She did so well. We were all just amazed that she... Hold on one second. I think we need to give her we need a new text thing. Hold on. Where is it? Let's see. No, it's a brand. Hold on, cancel. I need it. It's an image. We need a new standard for when she comes on. You got it here, and then there it is. I think it's Dink. There it is. Okay. Hello, bullshit. Thank you, Laura Ingraham, for welcoming bullshit to the show on a scale not heretofore seen. Hello, bullshit. All right. I'll add a sound effect to that at some point. But God damn, like the dumb. All right. Anyways, love you guys. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, share the show, share the clips, share the shorts. It seems weird to even say. And I will see you guys next time. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. And you know how I mean that. Yummy. Man, I went late tonight. I don't know. I guess you guys were just worth it. I just think so. You know what it was? You know why I think I went late? And I think there's this thing that you guys do that I really like. It's a